What is up, guys? Illinois Outdoorsman, and today on part 2 of this series we're going to build the motor mount for the trolling motor that you guys can see right here to go on that kayak right there. So stay tuned. What is up, guys? Illinois Outdoorsman, and today we're going to be building the trolling motor mount for trolling motor to go on the kayak. So if you guys haven't watched the first part of this, the first episode of this little mini series, go ahead. I will try and link it up in the top of the description right there so you guys can watch it. That is pulling the head unit apart on the Endura C2 30-pound thrust trolling motor to pull the switch and the wiring out and get it ready for install. So today we're going to build our, drawing a blank, trolling motor mount. Yay, come on, wake up. Build our trolling motor mount. How I'm gonna do it, I'm going to take the IKEA special cutting board, just so I have some extra rigidity back there in the back of the gunnels at the stern of the boat, just so I'm not flexing that kayak and the plastic in there. And the good old 2x4 so I can take this motor on and off. If I fish a tournament or something where I can't have a motor on it, I can take it off, the wiring stays in, motor's gone. Make the kayak a lot lighter, but a lot harder to paddle because it is a tank. So I'm gonna take this cutting board here, and this is what we're gonna use to kind of, as you guys can see, it's fairly thick. It's got a tape measure here. It's a 1/4 inch thick, so it should be plenty to rigidity. We'll cut it in half. We'll use 2 pieces of it. We'll get rid of the handle here. So we can actually, we're gonna cut a hole in that boat so we can sandwich it around there and really make it nice, thick, and beefy back there. So first off, what we're gonna do is, I have a 2x4 here is how I'm gonna do this. I'll end up going through and either painting this or sealing it with some wood sealer of some sort, some waterproof wood sealer. Get this all nice sealed up, nice and pretty, so it's not just a bare piece of wood. It's gonna swell up and expand and contract and all that and fall apart. So what I did is I went and found the center. This is 10 3/8 is what I did, just it kind of fits the back of the boat the best, gives me enough wiggle room to where I can be off just a little bit if I put the trolling motor on there and it's not dead center. So found the center line on this right there. So it's 5 and roughly 5/16 or something like that off of center. I do know the trolling motor, the mount on it for the 2 screws is 6 inches overall. So 3 inches off of center is where the little clamps are gonna hit. So what we're gonna do is, we'll find center here real quick. There's 6, here's center of that one and center of that one. I just don't wanna get these metal brackets right there and have it clamping down on that metal, because this metal is gonna be kind of slick. So now that we know where we're at, we're going to get these mounted in here, and I'm gonna flush these up to the top. So we're gonna have just a little bit sticking out of the bottom, so there'll be just a little bit of an air gap in there. These are 4-inch, 4x4. You can probably get away with 3x3 and get rid of that air gap. Menards was out of the smaller ones, it was either this or 1.5 by 1.5, and I felt the 1.5 was a little flimsy. These are 7/8 wide and they're fairly thick, so they're gonna hold up. So we'll get some hardware, get these mounted in here, and then we'll have a nice little stand-up board that we can mount this to, and then we'll get to cutting this cutting board, you guys. All right, you guys, so I got my drill, got my screws. These holes, I don't know if you guys can tell, you should be able to, they're off center. This one's off to one side, this one's off to the other side. That's to kind of spread the load out over the whole bar, not have them in line, and it tweaks either way. So on this board, I have marked center, and then right here and right here, this is where the feet should land on the mount on the trolling motor, the factory mount that comes with the 2 wing nuts. So we're going to go, went ahead and measured the little circle pad that's on that wing nut that kind of clamps up against it. Excuse me. is roughly 1.25 inches. So we're gonna go off of center 3/4 of an inch, just to give us a little extra leeway. I know my math's wrong. I can go probably, I think it's 5/8 of an inch. I can go over and be just missing it. I want a little extra leeway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure off of that 3/4 of an inch off those lines, and we're gonna draw a second set of lines just so we know we're well outside, and it'll give us a spot to line up our brackets. So now you guys can see I have this inside set of lines and then these outside set of lines here. This is where we're gonna line up these metal brackets, and we're just gonna flush them with the top. So it's nice flush, it's not sticking up. So we'll get those, I'll get these lined up, get them mounted in here, and I'll show you guys the finished product on this part of it, and then we'll go to cut the cutting board. All right, you guys, so here's the board, finished, screws in there. It's gonna sit just like this. Cutting board will sit here. That trolling motor will clamp around right here and hang right over the back of the boat. So we've got this part of it done. I'm still gonna paint it all, so we'll get it, set it off to the side. So we got this cutting board, I think it's 12 inches from the inside of the handle out. Yeah, 11 3/4 from this point to this point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this thing in half. I'm not quite sure how I wanna do this yet, not make a giant mess. But cut this thing down in half, cut this handle off, so we end up with 2 pieces here, and then we're going to have to shape them to the back of the boat and the gunnel in there. So yeah, let's get this thing cut up. All right, you guys, so now we've got our 2 pieces here. I'm gonna tip this camera down so you guys can see what we're doing back here. I've already went and taken the back handle off this ascend. It's right here, and I've also pulled the drain plug out. That was just so I can get it to set level. I did leave the drain port itself, I took the plug out, left the port itself in. We may need to trim just to trim around it, but we're going to mark out the inside of this back tank well so we can keep as much of that tank well as possible. So here we go. Let me tip this bad boy down. Hold on a second. Let me play at this camera angle for just a second, guys. All right, there we go. So now down here, what we're gonna do is this piece that has this factory rounded edge on it, we're gonna keep that on top. Don't mind this, you guys. This is what happens when you cut this plastic with a cutoff wheel. It heats it up, it melts. Take a razor blade to it, it comes right off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this, sits up here like this. I don't know how well you guys can see this drain port right here. We're actually going to end up sitting just over it. So we're gonna end up having a notch, this right here, to fit around it. So what we're going to do is, that's going to be our first mark here. We're going to go wide on it just because I do want some room around it. And I know it's kind of egg shaped, that drain plug. So that part, we will cut this part out so it'll fit right up around here. What we're going to do then, I gotta stand up. Get this kind of where we want it. I want to take this marker and come right here to the inside of this and mark out and trace out the bottom. Now I left kind of a red line, but as you guys can see, that's what we need to cut out right here. So that right there is going to let us keep all of this tank well back here, even though we're going to cut this out. We're going to cut this piece out right here so we can gain access to the inside. And this is also where our power is going to come out of the top of the trolling motor and plug in. So I'm going to have a plug right here in the middle of it. So we are going to end up technically losing 4 inches of this, but I honestly have never used this back tank well. I just want to keep as much of it as possible. So now that we have that mark, this one's a little different. We want this to fit just inside of here. So we need to come to the furthest most point in here. Keep it all in the inside of the gunnels. We're gonna mark out our drain plug again. So we have drain plug marked out right there. So it kind of gives you a reference line to mark on. Keeps it inside of here. And you guys, this is just a rough kind of idea. Just to get you started, you're obviously going to have to trim some pieces like this right here. We're going to have to trim out a little bit so it'll follow this gunnel up. So we're going to come over here on the top. And the nice thing with this clear cutting board is you can kind of see where you're at. You can see the red line through the cutting board. So it'll give us an idea where we're cutting at. So this is going to be our inside piece. We're going to cut this piece out to fit around the drain plug on the inside. This and this follow the gunnels out here just to give us a little extra room. And this is going to be our cut line. So in theory, now I say in theory because it never works right. I'm going to turn this camera up. It never works right. In theory, this should fit right up inside of here, inside the boat, and give us that and this to clamp to. So we can clamp the boat in between these and mount that trolling motor in there. Will it work like that? Probably not. Probably going to be a lot of trimming and custom fitting, and each boat's going to be different. They're all roto molded differently, so each one's going to have its own little quirks in it. So you guys are just going to have to fit this to fit your boat. All right, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this stuff out. And we will test fit it on the outside before we're not going to cut the hole in the boat today. So we'll test fit it on the outside, make sure it all looks good, and then we'll go next episode. We'll actually install this motor mount and get it all pieced together where we can physically hang the motor off the back of the boat. So let me get this cut out, you guys, and I'll show you the test fit on the outside, and we'll go from there. All right, you guys, so we've got them cut. Obviously, this one's the top. This one's the bottom because it's just kind of sloped out. So we're gonna check the bottom first. Don't mind all this plastic. You guys remember it comes right off. So we're going to test fit in this. Looks actually really, really well. I'm gonna have to trim just a little piece right here, just kind of to follow this corner. I'm gonna grab a marker. Well, I got that set right there. We're going to kind of map out this corner. Yeah, we're just going to trim it back just a hair further. Boom. So that one is going to work beautifully. We're just going to trim that red line out just a hair more so a little more clearance. This one is going to be our top. So trim this up, make it look nice and neat. I tried to kind of smooth it out with the grinder, but it doesn't always work. But our hole for here is good. And this actually, I like this. This fits good. So what we'll do is we'll clean this one up. This, we're gonna put a little T on here and a B on there, top, bottom, just so we know which side they go inside. So I'll get these cleaned up, you guys, but that's going to be the end of the video today. Next time we will get this installed, we'll cut a hole in the boat, so it'll be a little more in-depth, a little bit more scary, a little scarier. Be honest with you, I'm kind of leery about cutting a 4-inch hole in my boat. But we'll get a hole cut in there. We'll get this stuff installed so we can hang the motor on this boat. And then from then on out, it's pretty easy sailing. It's a matter of just running some wire. The next big hurdle we're gonna have is the steering mechanism, which I kind of have an idea up here on how I want to do it, how it's gonna work. Hopefully it works out that way. Be able to run the steering inside the gunnels, so it's not hanging up on anything. It's not catching on my crate, I'm not hooking it with anything or anything like that. Keep it from sitting out in the sun, getting baked and rotting out. And it'll be something that we end up having to change periodically, just to change it, just so we don't wear it out and it's not falling apart on us. But once it's installed, it'll be super easy to change. You just attach the old to the new and pull her on through. So yeah, next time we will cut a hole in this boat, get this motor mounted, and start looking into running the wiring as well as the steering mechanism. So if you guys like this video, you guys like this series, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down in the corner, turn on the bell. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you guys. I do post stuff there. Facebook more than Instagram, just because I'm more familiar with Facebook. Obviously, I've had it for like 15 years. So I am more familiar with it, and it's easier for me to run through, so I do post on there more than I do my Instagram. But make sure you guys follow me on all 3 of those platforms, and make sure you guys are subscribed. And don't forget, we do have that giveaway coming up. We're going to do it I don't know why I keep pointing the marker at you guys. Doing the drawing the 29th. It's a leap year this year, so February has 29 days. Quick, put the marker down. February has 29 days this year, so we're going to do it the 29th of February. There's a post on my Instagram and my Facebook. Got a picture of the hammock and everything else in there. If you guys click on that picture, read the description, it'll tell you how to get entered. So make sure you guys get entered. We're going to do the drawing the 29th. I'm going to try and stream it live on YouTube. And we're going to let Cameron pick a winner out. So he's pretty unbiased. He doesn't care who wins, who loses. He just likes giving stuff away. It's like having a best friend who thinks you're rich. But if you guys like this video, like I said, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and stay tuned for the rest of this build.